Hello and welcome to Handlestone's Module 2, Columns and Pillars. What you'll learn in this module are types of columns and pillars, the components that make up columns and pillars, the terminology of columns and pillars, and how to install columns and pillars. You'll need to pay close attention. Pay particular attention to the terms used. You'll see these show up in all capital letters when we introduce a new term. Pay attention to product or model numbers such as COL1 and PIL20. You'll need to know these. Pay particular attention to underlined text. This usually signifies it's of particular importance and you may be tested on it. Also, memorize. Almost all of the information presented in this module should be committed to memory. You will be tested on the information in this module at the end. Okay, columns. What is a column? A column is a round post that has one of several different geometrical shapes. This is a column that has been bonded and painted. It's Handlestone's COL1. Pillars. What is a pillar? A pillar is a square post as opposed to a column, which is round. A square post that is one of several different geometrical shapes. This is a pillar made with a natural white color and travertine finish with a variation. What are pilasters? A pilaster is half a pillar or less, intended to be installed against a wall. These are pilasters with Corinthian capitals that have been fauxed. Half columns. A half column is half a round column intended to be installed against a wall. This is a half sectional column in a 101 color and texture. 98% of all columns that Handlestone produces are made in halves so that they can wrap around a structural post made from wood or steel. This is the reason why columns are not produced as a one-piece solid or one-piece hollow column. They need to be manufactured in such a way as to wrap around a post. In addition, the post is the load-bearing structure, not the column itself. Handlestone's columns are not load-bearing. A half column is often referred to in the cast stone industry as a split. Here is an example of a split. This is COL1, column 1. The wall of the shaft of a column is 2 inches thick. Therefore, the inside diameter would be computed by subtracting 4 inches from the column outside diameter. This is useful when you need to know which size column can fit around a structural post of a certain diameter. For example, if you have an 8-inch post for which you're going to install a column, you would need to have at least 8 inches inside for which the column to wrap around that post. However, this would likely be a tight fit. You'd be better off going with the next larger size column. For example, a 12-inch column would have an 8-inch inside diameter. That's the 12-inch column outside diameter and the 4-inch wall thickness, 2 inches on each side. So the 12 inches minus the 4-inch wall thickness gives you the 8-inch inside diameter. In this case, with an 8-inch post, you'd probably recommend that they go with a 14-inch column to ensure an easier installation. A full column has 3 major parts: a capital, shaft, and base. So the full column includes all 3 components: the capital, the shaft, and the base. All the columns produced by Handlestone have a straight shaft, that is, non-tapered, with the exception of one column, column 1, and one pillar, pillar 40. Tapered means the shaft is wider at the bottom than at the top. Again, Handlestone makes only one tapered column, column 1, and one pillar, pillar 40. When columns are installed properly, they will have joints of no more than an 1/8 inch. In this image, you can see both down at the bottom and there in the center a joint. Those joints, when properly installed, should be no more than an 1/8 inch wide. Shafts. Please note that Handlestone makes 4 types of shafts. We'll show you specific models in a minute, but for now, the 4 types of shafts to remember are plain shaft, a sectional shaft, a roped shaft, and a fluted shaft. From left to right, we have the plain shaft, the sectional shaft. Notice the shaft made up of sections, the roped shaft, and the fluted shaft. The 3 most popular shaft diameters are the 12-inch, the 14-inch, and the 16-inch shaft. Those are diameters, outside diameters. Okay, so Handlestone makes the following types of columns. Column 1 is a plain, slightly tapered column that has a Tuscan capital and base attached. This is unique. The capital and base are attached to the column. It is the only column that Handlestone makes that has the capital, shaft, and base made in one piece. 2 splits make a column. Notice on the right what the column looks like when it's split. You'll notice the capital and base attached to the shaft. So the 2 pieces are the splits. The 2 splits make a column. This column has a single torus at the column base. Here's a diagram of column 1. The nomenclature of the column from top to bottom. We have the abacus at the very top. Next you'll have the echinus. Below the echinus is the neck. Below the neck is the astragal. So that whole section there is the capital. The abacus, the echinus, the neck, and the astragal all make up the capital. Down at the base, down below the shaft, you have the apophagy, the torus, and the plinth. The apophagy, torus, and plinth all make up the base. Column 1 can be shortened in the field if required, but it can't be lengthened because it's made all together. The capital, the shaft, and the base are all one piece. In order to shorten column 1, the installer must cut the shaft right below the astragal. After the cut is made, the capital can be reattached and the seam becomes almost invisible. So again, you can shorten column 1 in the field if required. In order to do that, the installer cuts the shaft right below the astragal, and then you put it back together. Please also note that column 1, the capital and base, have an almost identical diameter. That's unique to column 1. The capital and the base diameter are almost the exact same size. Column 1 also makes the ideal choice for someone wanting a column that can be installed so as not to show any seams and which can be painted. A concrete bonding agent is used to cover the seams. Of course, this requires additional labor to accomplish this effect, so you'll need to take that into account when providing an estimate. This is column 1. It's been bonded and painted. Column 2. Column 2 is a sectional column that has a Tuscan capital and Tuscan base. There's the Tuscan capital. There's the Tuscan base. Notice the Tuscan base is a double torus. Those are the sections. Notice there's 3 sections that make up the shaft. Also, notice that there are alternating seams from the bottom section to the top section. The seams alternate. They are not all lined up on top of each other. Column 2, as I mentioned, the base has a double torus. Tuscan capital, Tuscan base, double torus, sections, alternating seams. So begin committing that to memory. So sectional means that the shaft is made from multiple pieces or sections. When the sections are stacked one on top of the other, they are alternated at the seams. We're just going to go through some repetition here just to try and drill this into your mind. Notice the alternating seams. At the top, the seam does not line up with the section immediately below it. Notice the Tuscan capital, the Tuscan base, and the double torus as well. Handlestone can produce any length of shaft required for column 2. The number of sections in a shaft depends on the height of the column. Column 2 usually is made up of 3 or 5 sections. The individual sections are normally made between 24 to 32 inches in height. Again, with the repetition. So these sections, normally you'll have 3 to 5 of these sections. You can make this column to any height, and the individual sections are typically 24 to 32 inches in height. So you can calculate the height of the individual shaft sections for a particular column, height by, finding the total height of the column that's desired. From that, you subtract from the total height of the column the height of the base and the height of the capital. That would give you the total height of the shaft. And step 3 is you divide the height of the shaft by how many sections you would like the shaft to be, keeping in mind to alternate the sections starting from the base to the capital. Here's the formula written out. Total column height minus total height of the capital and base equals the total shaft height. And you divide that by the number of sections desired. Here's an example. If the total height of the column is 10 feet and the height of the base is 9 inches and the height of the capital is 9 inches, and we want 3 shaft sections, what is the height of the individual shaft sections. So we have a 10-foot high column, the base is 9 inches, the capital is 9 inches, and we want 3 shaft sections. Now we need to compute the height of the individual shaft sections. So here is it all laid out in an image. 10-foot high, 3 sections. The capital and the base are 9 inches each. What is the height of each section? So we'll take our 10 feet total height. From that, we'll subtract 1.5 feet. That's 9 inches plus 9 inches, or 18 inches, 1.5 feet, the total height of the base and capital. And that leaves us with 8.5 feet, your total height of the shaft. So 10 feet minus 1.5 feet gives you 8.5 feet, the total height of the shaft. We're going to take the total height of the shaft, we'll divide that by 3, it equals 2.83 feet, or 2 feet 10 inches. You can also do the entire calculation in inches, obviously. So we have 120 inches minus 18 inches of base and capital, 9 inch base, 9 inch capital, 18 inches, equals 102 inches, the total height of the shaft. Total height of the shaft divided by 3 equals 34 inches. So the base and capital should be facing the same direction. The base and the capital must face sideways. In column 2, also note that the shaft sits on top of the base and the capital sits on top of the shaft. Also, in terms of shipping, consider, since column 2 has a sectional shaft, the shipping costs of column 2 would be less than a column with a one-piece shaft such as column 1. The reason the shipping costs are less is because all of column 2 can be loaded on a single pallet. Because you have these short sections, they can be stacked on top of each other carefully. You're also able to pack it in a more secure manner, resulting in less breakage. So let's talk about column 4. Column 4 is a rope column. Handlestone produces only 2 different diameters in a rope column, the 10 and 12-inch diameter rope column. In the past, Handlestone has not had a large demand for other diameter sizes in the rope column, which is why we only go with the 10 and 12-inch column. Handlestone can produce other sizes if there's an order with a large enough quantity to support the cost of making a mold. Molds are very expensive, so the job has to be of a large enough quantity in order to justify the cost of making these molds. The maximum height for a 10-inch diameter rope column shaft in one piece is 120 inches. So the maximum height 10-inch diameter rope column shaft is 120 inches. The maximum height for a 12-inch diameter rope column shaft is 48 inches. So a 10-inch diameter rope column can be made up to 120 inches, but the 12-inch diameter rope column can only be made up to 48 inches for one piece. The column 4 has a Tuscan capital and a double torus base. So here's an abacus on the rope column. The echinus right below it on the capital. Then we have our neck. Then we have our astragal. All those make up the capital. Right below that, we have the rope shaft. The rope shaft sits on top of the base. The base consists of the apophagy, the torus, in this case, a double torus. And below that is the plinth. The apophagy, torus, and plinth all make up the base. Column 8. Column 8 is a plane column. Again, let's review the nomenclature. What makes up the columns base and capital? Starting at the top, we have the abacus. Below that, we have the echinus. Below that, we have the neck. And below that, we have the astragal. The abacus, echinus, neck, and astragal all make up the capital. Below that, we have the plane shaft for the column 8. The shaft sits on top of the base. The base is made up of the apophagy, the torus, and the plinth. Note that column 8 has a double torus. Column 8 is made from 6 pieces total. You have the 2 halves for the capital, the 2 halves for the base, and the 2 halves for the shaft, or the split. This column comes with a Tuscan capital and a double torus base. In order to calculate the length of the shaft needed, you must find the height of the total column and then subtract the height of the capital and the base. In other words, the shaft is installed under the capital and on top of the base. Column 20. Column 20 is a fluted column that has a Tuscan capital and a single torus base, and this is all a one-piece shaft. Fluted means that the shaft has grooves or channels. The maximum length in a one-piece shaft for column 20 is 120 inches. Therefore, if a taller fluted column is desired, 2 shafts are made and they're mounted on top of each other. Keep in mind, fluted columns are more difficult to install because the edges of the shaft are thin and more easily chipped and therefore require close attention and more finish work later on. Column 21. Column 21 is a fluted column that has a Tuscan capital and a double torus base. Column 20 was a single torus base. Column 21 is a double torus base. All Handlestone fluted columns have a straight shaft. So column 20, single torus. Column 21, a double torus. Column 21 is similar to the column 8, the plane shaft column that we spoke of a minute ago, but the only difference is the shaft. They both have the Tuscan capital, and they both have a double torus base. Let's talk about column syntax or nomenclature. We've just shown you how the column models are specified as COL1, COL2, etc. To specify the diameter of a specific column, you simply add the diameter to the end of the model number. For example, COL1-12 would signify column 1 with a 12-inch diameter. And keep in mind the 12-inch diameter is the outside diameter of the column. So COL1-12 is column 1 with a 12-inch diameter. Let's discuss capitals and bases in more detail. There are 4 major orders of capitals that Handlestone produces. We have the Tuscan capital, we have the Corinthian capital, we have the Ionic capital, and we have the Temple of Winds capital. Handlestone produces 2 bases for columns. The single torus base, the CLBST, and the double torus base, the CLBDT. Again, syntax or nomenclature for the bases. The CL stands for column, the B stands for base, the ST stands for single torus, and the DT stands for double torus. So the CLBST is the column base with the single torus. The CLBDT is column base with the double torus. Dimensions of capitals and bases. It's important to know the height of each capital and of each base. You'll need to know this information in order to calculate the height of the shafts, as we did in an earlier exercise. The height of each capital and base will differ depending on the diameter of the shaft. Later, we'll provide you with a table that you'll use to memorize all of these different heights. For now, just keep in mind that the height of the capital and bases will differ depending on the diameter of the shaft. So here are the 4 main columns that Handlestone sells. The column 1, column 2, column 4, and column 8. Note, column 1 is the single torus base, and it is the only column produced with the capital and the base attached to the shaft. Notice column 2, column 4, and column 8 all have a double torus. Notice the plain shaft on column 1 and the plain shaft on column 8. Notice column 2 is a sectional shaft. Notice column 4 is the rope shaft. You'll need to memorize all of these columns and the differences between them. So column 1, Tuscan capital. It's a plain, slightly tapered shaft. It is the only column that has any tapering in the shaft. You'll recall, tapered means the bottom of the shaft is wider than the top of the shaft. Column 1 is manufactured with the capital, shaft, and base as one piece. Column 1 has a single torus Tuscan base. Column 2 has the Tuscan capital, but it is a sectional column. A sectional shaft column. Notice also, column 2 comes with the double torus Tuscan base. Column 1 had the single torus. Column 2 is a double torus base. Column 4, Tuscan capital, but it is a rope column or a rope shaft. It also comes with a double torus Tuscan base. Column 1 was the single torus. Column 2, the sectional, has a double torus base, and column 4 has a double torus base. Column 8 has the Tuscan capital, the plain shaft, and it also has the double torus base. So we have column 1 with the single torus, columns 2, columns 4, and columns 8 all have a double torus base. Column 8 is manufactured from 6 pieces total. The shaft is split, so it comes in 2 pieces. The capital and the base also come in 2 pieces, for a total of 6 pieces. Let's talk about pillars. Here is pillar 20. Notice the difference between a pillar and a column. As we gave you the definitions earlier, the pillar is a square or rectangular shape. Columns are round. The pillar 20 is made up of a plain shaft with the M80 capital in this case and the M70 base. Similar to columns, pillars have a capital, shaft, and base. Unlike columns, the capitals and bases for pillars are made from molding. So, bases and capitals for pillars can be made in one split. However, that would be a custom job and would be costly. So you'll notice here, the pillar 20 shaft is made up of sections, similar to column 2. So the pillar can be made in one split. However, due to the manufacturing process involved, that would be costly. The most cost-effective solution is to go with the sectional shaft on the pillar. The capital can be installed on top of the shaft or around the shaft, as opposed to the columns where the capital is installed on top of the shaft only. With the pillar, the capital can be installed on top of the shaft or around the shaft. The base moldings can be installed around the shaft or the shaft on top of the moldings. Again, with the column, the shaft would be installed on top of the base. With the pillar, you can install it around the shaft, or the shaft can be on top of the moldings. Similar to columns, the wall thickness of pillars is normally 2 inches. So there are numerous possibilities for capitals and bases for pillars. They can be decorative or plain, just not fluted or grooved. So the capitals and bases for a pillar are named after the moldings. In other words, the M80 capital is made from the molding M80. Pilasters. A pilaster is half a pillar or less, normally installed against a wall. Like a pillar, the capital and base for a pilaster is usually made from moldings. A pilaster capital can also be decorative, such as Corinthian, Ionic, Temple of Winds, as well as other custom capitals. Handlestone produces 2 major styles for a pilaster shaft, but it's not limited to just these 2. You have the plain and the fluted pilaster. You can be creative when designing pilasters, as long as you use molds Handlestone has in stock. As we mentioned before, building molds is expensive. Handlestone can do it, but only if the size of the project lends itself to a suitable return on investment. So, let's go over and review what we've learned in this module. A column is a round post that is one of several different geometrical shapes. A pillar is a square post that has one of several different geometrical shapes. A pilaster is half a pillar or less intended to be installed against a wall. A half column is half a round column intended to be installed against a wall. So a column is round, a pillar square, a pilaster half a pillar or less installed against a wall. A half column is a half a round column installed against a wall. The abacus is the flat slab forming the uppermost portion of a capital. The echinus is a flat slab supporting the abacus on a column capital. It's usually concave or convex. So the abacus is at the very top, the echinus is right below it. The neck is usually a plane section of a column located below the echinus on a column capital. And the astragal is a small convex molding below the neck on a column capital. So the abacus, echinus, neck, and astragal all make up the capital, and they're in that order from top to bottom. Abacus, echinus, neck, astragal. The shaft is the portion of a column between the base and the capital. The capital sits on top of the shaft sits on top of the base. The apophagy is a small concave outward curve joining the shaft of a column to its base. The torus is a large convex molding forming the lowest molding on the base of a column, directly above the plinth and below the apophagy. The torus is a large convex molding forming the lowest molding on the base of a column, directly above the plinth and below the apophagy. We've talked about the single torus and the double torus. The plinth is the flat slab forming the bottom section of the base of a column. So again, the apophagy, the torus, and the plinth all make up the base. And they're in that order from top to bottom of the base. The apophagy on top, the torus or double torus below that, and the plinth on the bottom. The shaft sits on top of the base. Column 1. Column 1 is a plain, slightly tapered column that has a Tuscan capital and base attached. The capital, shaft, and base are one piece, and it is a single torus. So column 1, plain, slightly tapered. It is the only column that Handlestone makes that is tapered. Tuscan capital and base are attached. It is the only column that Handlestone makes where the capital and base are attached to the shaft. Capital, shaft, and base are all one piece. And column 1 is a single torus. Column 2 is the sectional column that has the Tuscan capital and base. Column 2 has a double torus base. So column 1 and column 2 differentiate themselves because column 1 has a single torus, column 2 has a double torus. Column 1 has a plain shaft, column 2 is a sectional shaft. And of course, column 1 is slightly tapered, column 2 is not. Column 4. Column 4 is the rope column. It comes in 10 or 12-inch diameters. It has a Tuscan capital and a double torus base. Column 1 single torus, column 2 and column 4 are both double torus. The sections, column 1 is the plane section. Column 2 is column 1 is a plane shaft. Column 2 is a sectional shaft, and column 4 has the rope shaft. Column 20 is a fluted column that has a Tuscan capital and a single torus base with a one-piece shaft. Column 21 is a fluted column that has a Tuscan capital and a double torus base. So column 20 and column 21 are identical, except that column 20 is a single torus base, column 21 is a double torus base. The capital. The capital is the topmost member of a column. Handlestone's 4 capitals are Tuscan, Corinthian, Ionic, and Temple of Winds. The base is the lowest portion of a column on which the shaft rests. Here is a picture of column 4, the rope column. I want you to take a moment and complete the terms for each section of the column for which the arrows are pointing. So go through this, stop the video, take your time, see if you can recall the definitions of all of these items where the arrows are pointing. Okay, so the abacus was the topmost portion of the capital. Right below that was the echinus. Right below that is the neck. Right below that is the astragal. Those all make up the capital. Then of course we have the rope shaft. And then the base is made up of the apophagy, the double torus, and the plinth. So now we come to the module quiz. Let's jump right into it. Question 1. The difference between columns and pillars. What is the difference between columns and pillars? A. Column has the same meaning as a pillar. B. Pillars are square and columns are round. C. Pillars have a capital and base. Columns do not. Or D. Columns are larger than pillars. Stop the video, make your selection, and then restart it to see what the answer is. The answer is B. Pillars are square and columns are round. Next question. Which of these best describe a column? A. A column can be round or square. B. A full column is made from one piece. C. A full column is made from 2 splits. Or D. Columns do not need any structural support for installation. Stop the video, make your selection, and then come back for the answer. The answer is C. A full column is made from 2 splits. Question 3. The 2 main styles for a column shaft are A. Tuscan and Corinthian, B. Ionic and Tuscan, C. Tuscan and sectional, or D. One-piece shaft or sectional. Stop the video, make your selection, then come back for the answer. The answer is D. One-piece shaft or sectional. In other words, we saw column 2 had a sectional shaft, and we saw the other columns had a one-piece shaft? Question 4. Column 1 is A, 2 splits make one full column. B, 1/2 is made from 3 pieces. C is straight from top to bottom. Or D comes with a Corinthian capital. Make your selection, stop the video, come back. The answer is A, 2 splits make one full column. As you recall, column 1 was one full column where the capital and base are attached to the shaft. That is the only column that Handlestone makes like that. The other columns have separate capitals and bases and shafts. Question 5. Which one of these columns come in one piece, split with the capital and base attached? You kind of just gave this one away. Go ahead and make your selection and come back for the answer. Column 1. That's correct. We just went over that. Comes in, it's a full column with the capital and base attached to the shaft. Question 6. The maximum length in a column 4 12 shaft in one piece is, so we have a column 4 12-inch shaft in one piece. The maximum length that could be is, stop the video and come back for the answer. That would be 48 inches. The 12-inch diameter can only be made up to 48 inches. Question 7. The column 4 12 comes with which kind of capital and base? So we have the column 4 12-inch diameter comes with which kind of capital and base? A, Tuscan capital and single torus base. B, Corinthian capital and single torus base. C, Temple of Wind capital and double torus base. Or D, Tuscan capital and double torus base. Stop the video, make your selection, come back for the answer. And the answer is D. It's the Tuscan capital and double torus base. Question 8. How many pieces make a full column 8? A2, B4, C6, or D8? Stop the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer is C. 6 pieces make up column 8. Question 9. How many pieces make a full column 1? A2, B6, C7, or D9? Stop the video and come back for the answer. The answer is A2. Column 1 is the one full column that comes in 2 pieces. It has the capital and the base attached to the shaft. Question 10. The column 1 base has A, double plinth, B, abacus, C, single torus, or D, echinus. Stop the video, make your selection, come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is C. It comes with the single torus. Question 11. What are some of the terminology in a column base? A, torus, plinth, abacus. B, abacus, apophagy, neck, and back. C, apophagy, torus, and plinth. Or D, abacus, neck, and shoulders. The answer is C, apophagy, torus, and plinth. They all make up the base. Number 12. Which of these terminologies do not belong in a capital? A, abacus, B, echinus, C, neck, D, torus. Make your selection, pause the video, and come back for the answer. The answer is D, torus. The question was asking for capital. What makes up the capital? The torus is part of the base. "13. Which of these is the highest on a column? A, the plinth, B, the apophagy, C, the neck, or D, the abacus? Which of these is highest on a column?" Pause the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is D, the abacus. The abacus is the topmost portion of the capital. 14. Which of these is the lowest in a capital? A, astragal, B, abacus, C, torus, or D, plinth? Pause the video, make your selection, come back for the answer. The answer is the astragal. "15. Which one of these is true about column 1? The height can be lengthened, but not shortened. The height can be shortened, but not lengthened. The height can be lengthened or shortened. Or D, the height cannot be adjusted." Make your selection and pause the video, and then come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is the height can be shortened, but not lengthened. Column 1 comes in a full column, or one piece, with the capital and base attached to the shaft. We spoke about how you could shorten it by cutting just below the astragal and then putting it back together. Number 16. In the column 1, the capital and base diameters are almost the same in diameter. The capital is much larger in diameter than the base. The base is much larger in diameter than the capital, or that depends on the diameter of the column. Make your selection, pause the video, and return for the answer. The answer is A. They are almost the same in diameter. 17. What would you recommend if a client wants a 12-inch or 16-inch paint grade seamless column? Column 1, 2, 3, or 4. A client wants a 12 or 16-inch paint grade seamless column. Make your selection and pause the video, and then return for the answer. The answer is column 1. Column 1, the one-piece column with the capital and base attached to the shaft, is what Handlestone recommends for installation or projects where the owner or contractor is looking for a seamless paintable column. What is half a column called? A pillar, B, a pilaster, C, a split, or D, a torus? Pause the video and return for the answer. The answer is C, a split. 19. Half a pillar or less is called half a column, pilaster, a split, or a post. Pause the video and make your selection and return for the answer. That, of course, is a pilaster. Number 20. The capital and base for a pillar is normally made from A, one piece capital and one piece base, B, two pieces for the capital and two pieces for the base, C, moldings, or D, cladding. Make your selection and return for the answer. The answer, of course, is C. The capitals and bases of pillars are normally made from moldings. 21. What's the main reason columns are made in halves? A, they're more aesthetically pleasing in halves. B, they're easier to install. C, so they can wrap around a post. Or D, both A and B are correct. Make your selection, return for the answer. The answer, of course, is C, so that they can wrap around a structural post. The columns Handlestone makes are not load-bearing. They wrap around load-bearing posts. 22. What are the three major parts of a column? A, the abacus, neck, and plinth. B, the astragal, abacus, and torus. C, the apophagy, plinth, and torus. Or D, the capital, shaft, and base. Make your selection and come back for the answer. Of course, it is D, the capital at the top, the shaft below the capital, and the base at the bottom on which the shaft sits. 23. In a column 8, how do you determine the height of the shaft to make? A, by subtracting the capital and base height from the total height of the column. B, by adding the capital, base, and shaft together. C, by dividing the total height in half. Or D, by dividing the shaft height into 3. Make your selection, pause the video, and return for the answer. It is A. You subtract the height of the capital and base from the total height of the column that you want. What kind of shaft does the column 8 have? A, a one-piece tapered. B, a one-piece plain, non-tapered. C, fluted. Or D, sectional. Pause the video and make your selection. Return for the answer. The answer, of course, is B. Column 8 is the one-piece plain, non-tapered shaft. Which one of these columns is called sectional? Column 2, column 9, column 8, or column 4? Pause the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is A, column 2. 26. The shaft sections for the column 2 are A, stacked all in the same direction. B, installed by alternating the seams. C, installed upside down. Or D, fit inside the base. Make your selection and pause the video and then come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is B. The sections are installed by alternating the seams. 27. The column 8 shaft. A fits inside the diameter of the capital and base, so both the capital and base are wrapped around the shaft. B, column 8 is installed on top of the base and under the capital. C, the column 8 shaft fits inside the capital but on top of the base. Or D, both A and B are correct. Pause the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is B. It is the shaft for column 8 is installed on top of the base and under the capital. 28. How do you shorten column 1? A, by cutting the shaft 1 inch above the base. B, by cutting the shaft just above the torus. C, by cutting the shaft just under the astragal. Or D, by cutting the shaft just under the neck. Pause the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer is C, by cutting the shaft just under the astragal. 29. How do you calculate the inside diameter of a column? A, it's the outside diameter minus 4 inches. B, the outside diameter minus 2 inches. C, the outside diameter minus 1.5 inches. Or D, all inside diameters of columns are 7 inches. Go ahead and pause the video and make your selection. Come back for the answer. The answer is A, the outside diameter minus 4 inches. We talked about how the wall of a column is 2 inches. So you'll have to subtract 2 inches off either side, giving you a total of 4 inches. So the inside diameter would be the outside diameter minus the 4-inch total wall thickness. 30. Handlestone columns are sold strictly A, as decorative, non-load bearing columns. B, are very strong and can carry tremendous amounts of weight. C, they're sold as a load bearing per specified labels. Or D, they can carry 5,000 pounds easily. Pause the video, make your selection, and I'll be here with the answer. The answer, of course, is A. We talked about how all handlestone columns are non-load bearing columns. They actually wrap around a load bearing post. 31. When installing columns, the joints should be A, no more than 1/8 inch wide, B, 1/4 inch, but maximum 1/2 inch wide, C, about 3/4 inches wide, or D, about 1 inch wide. Pause the video and make your selection and come back for the answer. The answer is A. This should be no more than 1 inch wide. 32. Decorative capitals such as Corinthian, Temple of Winds, and Ionic, A, are all standard for pillars and columns. B, are custom for pillars, but not for columns. C, they're custom for columns and pillars. And D, are not available for columns. Go ahead and make your selection, pause the video, and come back for the answer. So the answer is, they're custom for pillars, but not for columns. 33. Pillars can be made A, rectangular or squared, B, strictly rectangular, C, always squared, or D, load-bearing. Pause the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer is A, rectangular or squared. "34. Pilasters are normally freestanding, are normally installed against a wall, are normally squared, or both A and C." Pause the video, make your selection, and come back for the answer. The answer is B. Pilasters are normally installed against a wall. 35. For columns 1, 2, 4, and 8, A, they all have double torus on the base. B, only one has a double torus. C, only one has a single torus base. Or D, two have a double torus on the base. Pause the video, make your selection, and then come back for the answer. The answer is C. Only one has a single torus on the base, and of course, that's the column 1. All the rest have double toruses. "36. A fluted shaft means that the shaft has vertical and horizontal lines, has grooves or channels, is made in sections, or is tapered." Pause the video and make your selection. The answer, of course, is fluted means that it has grooves or channels. 37. Fluted columns are normally recommended A, to be painted, B, to be bonded, C, to be left natural, or D, both A and B. Go ahead and make your selection, pause the video, and come back for the answer. The answer is both A and B. They're meant to be bonded and then painted. "38. Which of the following statements is true? A, Corinthian capitals have double leaves. B, Temple of Wind capitals have double leaves. C, Ionic capitals are taller than Corinthians. Or D, Tuscan capitals are more ornate than Corinthian capitals. Pause the video and make your selection and come back for the answer. The answer is Corinthian capitals have the double leaves. "39. Handlestone fluted columns are all tapered, all straight shafts, can be both tapered and straight, or D, not to be painted. Pause the video and make your selection and come back for the answer. The answer, of course, is they are all straight shafts. Congratulations! You've completed Module 2, Columns and Pillars. We highly recommend that you go back through this module and review all of the information that it contains, because we covered a lot of new terms, a lot of new techniques on installation, and there's a lot of different types of columns and pillars to memorize and know in this module. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next module.